Yo, the lies so that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, candles open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lies to sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running it maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision and pay me, it's never the sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning, it's crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, this your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, this your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, this your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.
The Villain Report, Lions Villain Report. I am your host, Russell Wayne, and here we are. It is Friday, August the 16th, and we are here to talk some football and broadcasting live into the Lions Villain Squad Facebook page. Thank you to all that follow and like and share this content. Comment on this content, joining the conversation on this content right there, the Lions Villain Squad. We are broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions News Podcast. Thank you to Joe Chapp and the boys for allowing us to broadcast into that spot right there. And JC Sports, along with the Lions Villain Squad YouTube channel. Thank you to those that subscribe there, and brand new on the NFL Huddle Sports Network. We are going to be there live until 11 a.m. and we may go over. It depends on what we're talking about today. And this is a Lions fanfare right here as I bring on my co-host right here. That's Main Event Mike. What's going on, my brother?
Good morning, villains. Sorry I'm late. I was at Staples buying a new clipboard for Nate Sudfeld.
Well, the clipboard action, Nate Sudfeld is going to have to probably get used to that. And you weren't in here yesterday, Mike. We were talking a little bit about the general managers. We wanted to get, obviously it's roster battles, right? That's where we're at right now. But, it ended up because we were in the comments and we started talking a little bit about these players that we might have forgotten about yesterday with our GM, which spawned into a other conversations of other GMs that are in the NFC North, and all I could do is give kudos to the other GMs. I'm not trying to say Brad Holmes is is better than all of them, even though I know that he is, but I'm not trying to take anything away from what they have done. What I was trying to do was say, here's what Brad Holmes' sample size is, and this is what he's done up until now on the ones that we're counting. And then I went through all the draft classes and pulled out the guys that I thought were frontline starters that he's already identified. The obvious ones, Penei Sewell, right? There's no question. Aleem McNeil, there's no question right there. Kirby Joseph, there's no question. Aiden Hutchinson, no questions right there. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, no questions. Your last year's draft class, the four guys, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, no questions there. What I was talking about is the guys that we may have forgotten about, like the guys like Levi Onwuzurike, guys like Josh Paschal, guys like Jameson Williams. And it's like, even though we haven't forgotten about these guys, we know they're on the roster, but we talk about them in a certain way. Like, it's almost as like their careers are already over. and here's what we have pegged these guys as. And we've already seen evidence with Derek Barnes, with Ifeatu Melifonwu, and Aleem McNeil, that guys that we almost were ready to give up on after 1 year ended up turning into guys that we drafted, developed, and are now frontline starters on this team. That was a lot of wind right there. What do you think about these the guys that we may have forgotten about?
Well, one guy that you didn't list was James Houston. And when you talk about may have forgotten or written off, 100% true. In the main event back chat, these guys are writing him off. A big Dan Davis come right out and said he's washed. He's done. And I'm like, because in one preseason game, he didn't seem to have a burst off the line. He didn't seem to have that same bend off the edge. But for crying out loud, he's played 11 games in his whole career. His whole career, he's played 11 games. He's had 8.5 sacks. He's already proven that was a great draft pick. He set the record for a rookie for sacks in an 8-game stretch. So he's already proven his worth, but yet some Lions fans writing the guy completely off. He had a horrible injury. He's coming back. They say it's a really arduous process of the things that they did with him, pins and plates and even some other stuff I've heard. So it remains to be seen on him. But these other guys, like you mentioned, the jury's still out on them. The 3-year jump is a real thing. And all the reports of Levi Onwuzurike coming out, I mean, let's face it, if just one of those guys you mentioned makes a Pro Bowl, Brad Holmes is an absolute legend in the NFL as far as general managers go.
Yeah, and that's kind of the spot I wanted to go to, is because it's like when you get into training camp, every team right now, the Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions, all of them love to go in and be like, oh yeah, well, you haven't seen this guy yet, or you haven't seen that guy yet. And I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to, over fluff these guys that are out there, but I also I would be wrong to just not mention them, because this is something like Levi Onwuzurike. Like, every time they speak with Brad Holmes or Dan Campbell, they talk about this guy and what he's done. And not that he's going to make the team. Last year, the talk was Levi might make the team. He's going to make the team. Is he going to be pushing DJ Reader for that other starting position? That's how good he is playing. Even when DJ Reader comes back, is DJ Reader just going to be a rotational piece because of Levi Onwuzurike? Now, that may be, that's too much fluff for some people. Oh my God, you're touting these guys that have never done anything. And that's fair. That's fair. But the thing is, I've already mentioned all the guys that we know are frontline starters on this team that Brad Holmes has already identified. It's like these guys, this is just some extra, some whipped cream on top of the whole cake that Brad Holmes has been baking for 3 years. Like, really, you're going to hit on all of these guys?
And let's lower the bar. Let's lower the bar a little bit, for crying out loud. We're talking about these players becoming Pro Bowl, right? That's what we're talking about. Pro Bowl, not just frontline starters or even players. What it comes down to is, listen, Russ, only about 32.5% of NFL draft picks get a second contract. So 2/3 of all the players drafted will wash out after 4 or 5 years. They will not get a second contract. And when you think that out of that small group, Brad Holmes has hit 22% to the Pro Bowl, not even just still in the league. In fact, Antoine Green just waived last week with an injury designation, is the only Brad Holmes draft pick in 3 years that's not currently in the NFL. And I just told you that 33% of the draftees won't get a second contract. These guys are already locked in on that. Not one Brad Holmes draft pick is trending towards not being re-signed. Even Chase Lucas, a 7th rounder, was waived, got re-signed. Still in that 4-year window of a rookie, but the point is still there, that the guy that he picked, even if they don't make a Pro Bowl, even if they don't become frontline starters, they have quality talent enough to stick in this league and possibly get a second contract and defy the odds. And if all of these players get a second contract in the NFL, even with the exception of Antoine Green or Chase Lucas or any of these 7th round guys, that would be historic, absolute Jedi territory for Brad Holmes.
Yeah, and still, we have some things that we need to get to today, because I know we really hit this hard. I'm glad that we got your take on that with those guys. Like, I know that there's a lot of Jameson Williams, he's never done anything in the world, and it's like, and I get that. So let's talk about this wide receiver room, because we were talking a little bit earlier before the show about how the national media has started identifying the back end of our talent on that roster as maybe being a weakness or even a thing that might keep us from going as far as we want to go. What do you think about those thoughts?
That's such a great call out, Russ. You're 100% right. The national media it's the off season. They're reaching for content just like everybody else. So now a hot topic is the wide receiver depth of the Detroit Lions on satellite radio, on local radio, on some streaming sports shows that I saw. This has been a topic. Do the Detroit Lions have enough wide receiver depth to make a long run? And you and I talked about this morning on our pre-production call, and it's almost ridiculous, right? That beyond Khalif Raymond as the number 3, who do you have at 4, 5, and 6? And it's crazy to me that people are actually talking about this as a topic. So yeah, you're looking at Donovan Peoples-Jones, now Darius Fountain, Isaiah Williams, an undrafted rookie, Tom Kennedy. These are nobodies, and there are people clamoring for us to bring in a veteran wide receiver to augment that room to give us more depth. But I just think they're forgetting that even though we might be thin on wide receiver depth, we are not thin on pass catching options.
Yeah, I agree with you on that end. I think it's a reach when you're really looking at this. And I'm going to get into these comments a little bit. Just say hello to everybody. Hello, Davey. While you guys are chomping on that a little bit, what do you think about the wide receiver depth that the Lions have, if any at all? If you're concerned about that, put those in the comments. I'm sure all the trolls will say that that we have no wide receiver depth. It's going to be the death of our team, all that. Paul Jones, good morning, Russ. And the Lord shine upon your, gosh, I can't. Face. I think it says fave, but it's face. The Lord shine upon your face. But thank you, Mike, for looking at that.
I speak Paul
face.
Jones.
Yep. Thank you, Paul Jones. You as well. Chance Lax, the opportunity song hypes me up. I know we're running into copyright stuff on this. I don't know how much longer I'm even going to keep that stuff. But right now, before we get any further in this, just know that The YouTube version of this live is we are not keeping the Facebook version of it because Facebook is being a butthole about that opportunity song, and the YouTube page is not. So when I get done doing this, we are going to delete the broadcast of the Facebook. So if you want your comment to stick, I mean, forever, go to the YouTube page and put the comment on there, because I'm really just going to push that into the private mode, just so we won't have to go in through any of these copyright things anymore. But I do love the opportunity song. It does hype me up. Mike doesn't like how many times it says opportunity at the end, but you know, I'm usually fading it out by that time, and I'm already talking over it and saying hello to everybody. So I guess I didn't realize that he said opportunity like 700 times at the end of that song. So Paul Jones, good morning, main event. Mike, J Mommy's in the house, and even Martin looks better than last year. Houston is a question mark. I agree with that right there. Happy Friday, fella. Lion Rumble. The Ryan. I don't know if this is the first time that you have been on here, but that's been a time in a minute. Lion Rumble, how are you doing? Thank you for joining the broadcast on here. Elise Meme says, hi, Russell and Mike, Paul Jones. Happy Friday to everybody. Lion King is in the house. What happened to the dress rehearsal, Lions football? That's gone. That's gone. We don't believe in that no more.
It's called a joint practice now.
Right. That's right. Steve says, sup, guys. What I'm waiting to see is surprising players that will be cut by each team so much in the preseason, but I am waiting to see what the surprise cuts are. Broski Bears in the house. And there we go. That kind of takes us up to the point where we're on the top. We're talking about the wide receiver depth.
Right. And if you scroll down a little more, there's some really intriguing comments in there, Russ, about, I think it's Lion King, who says we don't have a true 50-50 wide receiver. And I think that's valid. That's legit. We don't have that big body, go up and get a 50-50 ball outside the numbers, a Mike Evans type. We don't have that, and we didn't have that last year and made the NFC title game. Antoine Green, they were hoping was going to be that guy, but we've learned now that he's just too slightly built for this game at this point in his career. So that does remain a spot of contention among fans, is that do we need that 50-50 wide receiver guy? So I think it's such a great call by Lion King.
So, my bad. That was the Lion Rumble, right? The 50.
It was Lion King.
Okay, well, this Paul Jones right here said I had high hopes DPJ for him to be the DP. So, and that's one of the things that I would say to that is like we're talking about these depth problems, but we're saying, okay, well, it can't be these guys that it might actually be. Like, oh man, DPJ hasn't really been, but DPJ might be that guy. And we were talking earlier about the different positions. Like, honestly, why are we even really talking about this? Because there's another 50-50 ball guy, which his name is Shane Zylstra. He doesn't play wide receiver, but there's a chance that this team may keep 4 tight ends. And here's another thing. This may come as a shock. Here's a hot take. I think the Lions are only going to keep 5 wide receivers on the roster. They're only going to roster 5 of them because I do believe that we have a plethora of good tight ends. Our worst tight end is better than that 6th wide receiver as far as value to the team. So I believe that we'll keep Laporta, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and I believe that James Mitchell is going to be the first bust-out pick, that they're going to get rid of James Mitchell because I think that Parker Hesse as a blocking tight end has been standing out in camp. He might even be the number 3 tight end when it's all said and done, but a real big body guy that you're probably not going to catch too many balls, but he will punch you in the face.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think James Mitchell makes this team, and I think he takes a step forward. He progresses in his next this will be his 2nd year, right? No, this will be his 3rd year.
Yep. Right now, I mean, it is what it is. Where it's, I mean, I'm just kind of going based off of one of my favorite guys that are out there, John Macaroon. You can catch him on Darcy's show every once in a while, but I'm a big John Macaroon fan, and I appreciate you, John Macaroon, for shouting out the local podcasters, and I appreciate your grind, my friend. I appreciate you going out there, and he made a comment on Crunch Time Sports on his yesterday's show, and I was so happy to know where his roots had came from. He started out a podcast and just a couple knuckleheads with a podcast and was a fan and did it so well and grinded so hard that now he is covering the Lions for Sports Illustrated. So
John Macaroon, also one of my favorite cookies.
And my shout out right there to you, John Macaroon. I appreciate you shouting out all the local guys that are trying to, to grind and do it too. And we're just fans. That's exactly what we are at this show. This is just Main Event Mike and myself running this page. It's got 52,000 Detroit Lion fans on there. We try to keep good content out there, create good conversation with everybody. And it's been so much fun. And I appreciate every single one of you, even the rival fans like you, Broski. So, and I know everybody's excited about football. We got less than like 25 days, Mike.
I know.
It's so fun when I think about this. And yesterday I made the countdown days, and I did the teens, and it just punched me in the face while I was creating that content and putting it up that we are that close. Like, it's like next week, that content's going to be coming out, and we're going to be in the teens, and then we're going to be talking about a real football game in less than 2 weeks, and it's got me so fired up. I appreciate everybody that's been going on this off-season journey with us, because I know that when it was in the dog days, and we're still in the dog days, I'm not saying that we're in it, but at the end of the tunnel, I can see the light, Mike. I can see the bright lights of Ford Field on Sunday night versus the Rams in a game that matters, where they're going to be practicing. They're going to be putting a game plan in during that week of practice that is going to be more than who's going to make the roster. But that's what we're talking about today. Who's going to make the roster? So,
right. Broski in there throwing haymakers at your boy, Khalif Raymond.
Okay.
Says he's an old midget. But he does have a point there. Broski always comes with some knowledge as well. Wide receiver depth's been mentioned by Broski for months. Jamison has 25 career receptions and 4 career TDs. You have an old midget as your number 3 wide receiver. Your room needs a serious upgrade. What do you say to that, Russell?
I'd say it's typical troll. I mean, it is what, the thing is, I'm not going to say anything about that. Khalif Raymond's track record speaks for himself. All the guy does is catch third down passes and move the chains. He's the punt returner. He's
one of the best punt returners in the league.
One of the best punt returners in the league. He's not a Devin Hester. He ain't as good as Devin Hester. But as far as, like, if you ask Dan Campbell and you ask Brad Holmes, who are the core guys on this team, I believe Khalif Raymond would be one of those guys that they mentioned right there. So you are out of your depth to be talking about Khalif Raymond like that, because he's never done anything but destroy every team that he's played, including the Bears. He makes big catches in big moments, but he's a third wide receiver. So, we're not talking about a guy that's going to get 15, 20 targets in a game or something like that. Right. We're talking about a guy that needs to go out and play well. And you know what? I'll give the validity to Jameson Williams. Sleep on Jameson Williams all that you want. That's fine. He hasn't done anything other than catch touchdown passes in games that you couldn't get to.
As fantasy football approaches, Jameson Williams typically going the 9th and 10th or 11th round. I've done about 10 mock drafts so far, getting ready for fantasy, and every single draft, 9, 10, or 11 is somewhere where he gets taken. That might be a steal, folks. Even if you get him as early as the 9th round, that might be a steal for your fantasy league. I wouldn't recommend taking him before then, because every simulation I've seen on expert and pro level, unless you're playing with a bunch of beginners, then let them take him early. But on the pro and expert levels, he never goes before the 9th round. So I believe a little fantasy advice there. You could sit on JMO, and he could be a stud coming out in the 9th or 10th round this year.
Look at that. Main event Mike coming in with the fantasy football, dropping nuggets right there in the back of your rounds. Brosy's going to be thinking about it the 9th, 10th round and be like, I know I said all that stuff about JMO, but, he is really fast. I bet you he could score me some fantasy points right there. But I'll give you some credit right there. I mean, I'm not going to say that Jameson Williams hasn't dropped his fair share of passes. That's the weakness of his game. That's the biggest question mark of where he is. It's volume is the thing that tells me that he's going to have a breakout season this year. Really on the skill, he may still drop balls, guys. Like, even if you want Jameson Williams, he may drop half the balls, but the other half of the balls that he doesn't drop, he may just take for a touchdown, because he's got that part that you can't teach. So, you can sleep on Jameson Williams, but here's one thing that you will. This is a fact. This is going to happen. Is he's probably going to have 3 times the targets that he did last year. He's been repping with the ones the entire preseason, and last year he was playing with Teddy Bridgewater with the 3s and the 4s during the entire preseason because he had the gambling suspension. So the practice and how he is preparing to get a lot of targets this year for the first time in his career.
For 100%. I'm going to pull another comment up here for you, Russ. Paul Jones says, Broski speaks in the third person like he's the Rock. And then Paul says our receiver room is fine. Free agents could fill holes, jabroni.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. It's like Broski can at least come from a spot. So let's come from the other side here and come for where Broski's puffing his chest out right here. Let's talk about these Bears wide receivers. Now, you want to talk about a room that doesn't need an upgrade is that wide receiver room. So if you're pumping out your chest because you got a better wide receiver room than us, that's fine. That's true. Your receiver room is deeper than ours. You got Keenan Allen. You got DJ Moore. You just draft Rome Odunze. And, even Velus Jones playing like your Deebo Samuel role right there. So you guys got wide receivers. I'll give you some kudos in that spot. You may have the strongest wide receiver room in the NFC North as a whole, because you do have that high-end stuff. I love Keenan Allen, dude. I am jealous of that pick right there. Ryan Poles deserves credit for going out to the Chargers, to the whole GM room, pulling down their pants and convincing them to give them Keenan Allen for a 5th-round pick. And, this is going to be a real good idea. Yeah, you're going to do just fine. Yeah. And then they get Keenan Allen, and they go, oh, what happened to Keenan Allen?
Yeah, I feel the same way about DJ Moore. That was a master stroke by Ryan Poles. In my opinion, he's a top 10. I don't think there's any question. He's a top 10 wide receiver in this league. And they just got him in part of the trade that let them get Caleb Williams. That was a master stroke by Ryan Poles. And they've built this room, like you said, Russ. That starting trio, and Rome Odunze, we don't know what he's going to be yet, but watching him in college, he was pretty electric. He does a lot of things very well, and I think it's going to be a great compliment to the 2 guys that they already have there. DJ Moore's a stud. Keenan Allen's a stud, though he is a walking injury history, right? And he's 33, 34 years old now. So there are some question marks there. But I think as a whole, and Steve, you're going to love this, I think the Packers have the best wide receiver room in the division. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the division, and Amon-Ra could be argued to be right there with him. But as a whole, when you look at Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Malik Heath, Dontavian Wicks, these guys are all solid frontline starters. They might not have a true number 1, but when we're talking about rooms as a whole, the Green Bay Packers, I believe, have the best wide receiver room in this division.
I can subscribe to that from the depth spot right there, but you hit the nail right on the head with the Packers.
Jaden Reed. I didn't even say him. Sorry. Go ahead.
but that speaks to the depth. But you hit it on the head right there, where you say that they don't have a true like number one stud guy. Where that I think maybe on the high end, the Bears are better, and maybe the back end up, because I think from 1 to, I mean, 5 or 6, the Packers got quality guys that can go out there and play. Like they got 6 guys. All 6 of those guys would be probably exactly what the Lions would need as their third, fourth guy.
Correct.
And they have all of those guys, but they don't have that. That Justin Jefferson, that Jamar Chase, or Amon-Ra St. Brown guy that is going to be your 120 target guy Love's got as an outlet. It's like he's always going to be spreading the ball around, and they may want it that way. That may be.
Packer fans are fine with that. They're absolutely fine with that. They love the guys they got there.
Well, unless they have Devontae Adams, like that post you put up the other day where they're like, yeah, last run. Wait a minute. We like our room. Like, oh, gosh. X Gas says, my guys, Evgas, even almighty. He says he can't wait. Steve's out there. He's boasting on the Torre. That's good. I mean, you guys got wide receivers for weeks. You may actually have to cut a wide receiver that we might get, because you have so many of those in between guys. But as a Lion fan, I ask this question out to you, because this is really what we're talking about here. Do you believe in the Brad Holmes draft and develop, and we're just going to work with these guys on 4, 5, and 6, and whatever guys win? Or do you believe that Brad Holmes should go out there with that $42 million in cap space and sign a veteran wide receiver that would come in and, compete for that 4, 5, 6? So let me know in the comments. I want to know what your thoughts are on that as we continue this conversation of depth. Broski, you just like to talk the trash right here. You do not have a better tight end room than we do. You don't.
Well, he explains a couple comments down. He explains how he got to that take, and I disagree with it 100% like you do, Russ.
Gerald Everett was the Rams starting tight end the last season. Mercedes Lewis. I mean, Mercedes Lewis is a blocking tight end. He's a good blocking tight end. Cole Kmet's a good stud, but he ain't as good as Sam Laporta.
Right.
So, I mean,
didn't Gerald Everett play for the Chargers, not the Rams? Tyler Higbee was the starting tight end for the Rams last year.
But he did play for Gerald Everett, and Tyler Higbee were on the Rams in his defense at one point in time.
Okay.
And I don't mind your tight end room. I just think that the Lions have a very, very good tight end room. I mean, right now, I would take Brock Wright over Gerald Everett any day of the week. Day of the week. And so would the San Francisco 49ers.
That's right.
So 2 winning franchises from last year went after that guy. And then, we have 2 other guys that are competing right there that might actually beat out we were just talking about James Mitchell not making a team. That's because we can identify tight ends. Oh, go figure. Our coach is a tight end.
Right. And I would venture to say that if the Bears didn't pick up Gerald Everett, it's a very good possibility he could be out of the league right now. He would not even be on a team if the Bears hadn't picked him up. Very good possibility of that. He's old and has never been anybody that the defense has to worry about.
Lion fans think they have a great tight end room because they have a great receiving tight end in Laporta. Yeah, that's part of the reason. Having the best tight end in the tight end room helps your cause when you're trying to argue if you have the best tight end room. Having the best one helps. Brock Wright is a stud. I mean, I don't know I can tell that you don't watch Lions games and you haven't seen what Brock Wright can do as a number 2 tight end, but the Lions paid him $4.5 million a year to steal him away from the San Francisco 49ers because we love Brock Wright. Brock Wright's an awesome tight end number 2. He would probably start for 20 teams. Or not 20 teams, 10 teams, a third of the league. He would probably start for a third of the league. I don't want to go that far. The 20 team. No, not 10, not 20 teams. But, you got a good all-around guy in Brock Wright. I mean, if we're really talking about him, he blocks well, and he is a threat out of the back. You can't just leave him by himself because he does have speed. If you remember that 74-yard touchdown he had against the Jets to win that game. I love Brock Wright. He's like one of those Dan Campbell kind of guys. He actually plays the kind of role that Dan Campbell actually played when he played in the NFL, which is the do-it-all guy that just needs to go in and do the dirty work. And Brock Wright is that guy. Looks like we got another guy in Parker Hesse that is a guy like you're talking about, Mercedes Lewis. Like, would I take a young version of Mercedes Lewis that can destroy people on the offensive line? Heck yeah, that's Parker Hesse. So don't sleep on my tight end room there, broski. Brock Wright carried us there the last 4 weeks of 2022. Thank you, Paul Jones. Yeah, there we go. We got a great tight end. No, we got we think we have a great tight end. No, we have a great tight end. Yes. Lion King, Jared Goff doesn't throw 50-50 more quick and intermediate pass. That's a great point right there. Thank you, Lion.
But could that be because we don't have that receiver to catch that ball to throw that pass?
The biggest difference between the Jared Goff fan, it's Matt Stafford fan, is the fact that we spent how many years with Calvin Johnson here where that was the way that you played. He was the best go up and get it wide receiver ever of all time to stop right there. There's one, the guy that can go up and get the 50-50 ball. We go from that and the quarterback. That's the way Matt Stafford plays. Not only is it a 50-50 ball, but Matt Stafford can get it to you in 2 seconds this high off the ground in a laser shot 50 yards down, and he can throw it into that pocket. That's not Goff. Goff plays more of the Drew Brees style where it's just like drop back, 2 sides. He's trying to get the ball out of his hand before he even gets into that. He makes his decision fast, and that's what Jared Goff does well. So his style does not dictate to throwing a lot of 50-50 balls. Jared Goff may chuck the ball down the field 50 yards, but it's going to be because Jamison Williams has, 3 steps on the guy, and it's not going to be a 50-50 ball. He's just got to get under it. So I love this comment right here by Lion King because it does not dictate the Goff style. No, that is a great point. You like that? There you go.
I got to jump off early today, Russ. And I do believe in the power of prayer. So if all the villains could pitch in together and say one for my mom. She had a minor stroke a couple of days ago, and she's in the hospital, so I got to go see her. So I appreciate anybody's thoughts and prayers there. And God bless each and every one of you. I got to go, Russ. Have a great show.
Thanks, Mike. That's Main Event Mike right there. You can catch him on Mondays. And we do believe in the power of prayer on this show right here. And I'm not going to get into preaching or anything, but sometimes if you don't believe, that's fine. It's the idea of the prayer is just to think about that person and to project the positive thoughts of the positive thing happening. And that to me is equivalent of a prayer to somebody that doesn't believe. Just put a positive thought on Mike's mom and yeah, that's the way that you can do it if you're not a believer. But you can catch Mike on Monday nights at 7 p.m. That everybody's entitled to their bad opinions on that show. Lions news updates And as you can see, Mike asked me to put the sun god into the corner of the picture. As you can see, the sun god is shining upon the picture right there. And there it is right there. But we're talking, we got good conversation in there. Broski's in there, throwing the melees in there. I see, look at that. See, this is what it's all about right here. We can mix it up in here a little bit, but you know, the bottom line is we care about each other as humans on here, and that's the way we want to keep it. And I appreciate that, Broski. Mike would appreciate that. Look at that. You guys are awesome. Davey, thank you. Look at that. Look at that. And Jay Mommy, thank you. Thank you. That's the way we do. That's the way we do it. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. I love it. I love it, guys. Steve says, I can imagine what Broski will say or do if the Bears win the division. Isn't that fun, Steve? Because I would love to come up here and, you know, I think my team's going to win the division because I'm a homer for my team. And I'm sure that you think you're going to win the division. And I'm sure that Broski thinks that the Bears are going to win the division. But the thing is, there's only one that can do it. And I think all three teams have a chance to do it, you know, because what we like to do in talk is we like to pump up our team and then at the same time say, oh, well, none of your stuff is going to work out. Oh, no, Jameson Williams will never work out because, you know, like all of these reports in camp, this is just preseason. So none of that stuff's going to work out for your team. But the thing is, you look at the worst case scenario, best case scenario. And if I look at the best case scenario, Steve, for a Bear fan, it looks good. It looks good for a Bear fan because if the best case scenario comes out, so let's say what happens? Best case scenario. Well, best case scenario is Keenan Allen stays healthy for the entire season. Best case scenario is Roma Dunze is worth the number 9 overall pick, and Caleb Williams is worth the number 1 overall pick. That's best case scenario, is that works out. And if that doesn't scare you of getting the best version, the hyped up version of the Chicago Bears, then what are we even doing here, right? And the thing is what I try to do with you, Broski, or whoever else, is like the best case of the Lions is that, you know, Jared Goff continues his upward trajectory. The best offensive line in the league continues to be the best offensive line in the league. The running back that we drafted becomes the guy that he is becoming in Jahmyr Gibbs. Laporta continues his dominance in the NFL, and the defense takes a step forward. What if those 2 cornerbacks that we drafted and Carlton Davis fix our back end problem? So those things should scare you. And I know that you can say that you're not scared, but you are scared. You should be. You should be scared that those things will work out. You know, just like I'm scared that it's going to work out. I watched Jordan Love, Steve. I watched Jordan Love, and it's like 2 passes in that preseason game. But when you watch him, he drops back on that bomb pass to Wicks. Pockets closing in on him. He's sitting there cool as a cucumber. He whips that ball out there, and it was a perfect throw right in the bucket right there. That's the biggest fear for people that are playing the Packers is Jordan Love is worth the $55 million. And he has a buttload of these wide receivers, and one of them steps out as a true number 1 wide receiver, and then you have depth behind it. I mean, that's scary. What if Joe Barry was the problem and they fixed it by bringing in a new defensive coordinator, and then the Packers are one of the scariest teams in the NFL? So the best case scenario for Lions, Packers, and Bears are scary situations. Now, if the Vikings are good after all of the shit that's happened to them, that would be an anomaly. I I can't even picture how they can recover from all the stuff that they've done. But I guess it's possible. But when you're really thinking about the best case scenarios for these teams, like the Bears and the Packers, from a Lion fan perspective, the best case scenario is a scary situation. And I can admit it. Can you admit it? Can you admit that if the Lions actually have their second round draft pick, Levi Onwuzurike, in the middle of that defensive line coming in and dominating against our first team, that wouldn't be scary? That having good cornerbacks, we fixed all of the problems that we had. You know, if the best thing that you got on the Lions is, oh my God, what are you guys going to do with your 4th, 5th, and 6th wide receivers? It's like, I bet you can count on one hand how many times the Lions went in a 4 wide receiver set last year. I mean, let's be honest here. Like Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Khalif Raymond. I mean, you brought in Khalif Raymond on 3rd downs, as 3 wide receiver set. I probably count on one hand how many times we're actually going to use 4 wide receivers. So you're talking about a guy that's going to be spelling. It's going to be mostly 2. We ran a lot out of 2 tight end sets. And, Sam Laporta is really your number 2 wide receiver, number 3 at the lowest. So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about a 5th option. I mean, if you want to go out and get somebody for that, I don't mind. Shay says, I found you. No, we found you. We found you. We were looking for you, Shane. There's a lot of great people that's on this show, and I wanted to say God bless you to all. Thank you for making this show fun. Glad I got to know all of you. See, Steve, we like you. We like you. Paul Jones says, congratulations to Bear fans on winning the preseason championship. Yep. And that's the thing, Paul. The thing that they make fun of Bear fans for is because we've heard this song and dance before. Really, the best case scenario where I see Bear fan is, no, but it's really true this time. We're really going to go 15-2. Caleb Williams is really the one. And it's like, you've listened to it for the Trubisky years. We've listened to it through the Fields years. And now all of that energy is just going into Caleb Williams. It's never been, I don't even think it's been about your quarterback. I think Trubisky could have went and, been at a different team was ran better and probably had more success. So I hope that they don't ruin Caleb Williams there with the coaching, but they did. They won the preseason. And we can talk a little bit of trash. And you can talk a little bit of trash about us. I mean, there's question marks there. That the wide receiver depth is probably one of the biggest questions that the Lions have. I think that, and the thing is, like you would say, the pass rusher opposite of Hutchinson is too. Say hello to the bad guy. Oh, bro, this is trash talk right here. Broski, I'm a laugh when your doppelganger from the other Lions page that you got banned from, that you joined, you got booted here, LOL, easy on the Lions smack talk, someone's after you. Okay. So the bad guys out there accusing Broski of making, double profiles, coming in at 2 different sides, getting kicked out, being a butthole on one of them. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen too many bad things from Broski in here. He brings his game in. He said he talks his trash. Mommy says that Caleb still has to play against elite defensive line to show that he's capable of earning the respect of the teams. And the Lions will have film on him before they play the Bears. Oh, but in that side, this is one of these things right here, J Mommy. He did play against a starting defensive line. He did play against the Buffalo Bills number 1s. So it is a small sample size, but he was able to move the ball against a number 1 defense. And we will have film on him, but he will also have game experience. So I think that we're going to get a really good version of Caleb Williams on Thanksgiving because it's so late. Broski Bear says, I'm not predicting that the Bears will win the division. I'd stay humble. And that's a good position for you, Broski. Like, I wouldn't be predicting the Bears to win the division if I were you. I would be sandbagging a little bit. If you think your team's real good, then, I'd just be like, yeah, man, we win 9 games, man. I'm thinking that we could win 9 games and maybe sneak in the back end of the playoffs, right? If I were a Bear fan, I would consider that progress. If you guys can get the playoffs in the first year, if you win the division, that's cherry on top, right? But at least you weren't out here like, yeah. So Broski Bear's one of the ones that it seems like he's a little more realistic. If he's not out here doing the division, I have seen the ridiculous Bear fans, and Broski, they're out there. These 15-2 guys. And it's like, I can't even go there. And I feel like our team's really, really good. Like, when I can look at all of the games on the schedule and say we could win, in every single game we're going to be favored as of right now. It's like, I still can't go 15-2. I couldn't go 15-2. It's because we're going to get everybody's best punch. We're going to get everybody's, we got to prove that you guys were a fluke last year, that type of thing. So you got to fight twice as hard to get the same result. So I get that. You're playing a harder schedule. Repeating as a division champion is not an easy thing to do. I mean, we should know. We never even won the division to repeat. Wow. Okay. Fred Peterson, good morning. It's a great day to be a Lions fan. Yeah, let's get in here. Broski Bear. I love getting these at the end right here. You guys are the ones that stick here at the end. Shane says, don't know if you answered this on Facebook. I was looking for the YouTube. Where do you rank Goff? Now, that's a loaded question. Where do I rank Goff? I think Goff is a top 10 quarterback no matter what metric that you're going to use. If you don't put him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, you're homering for your team just based off of what he's done. He's gotten better every year in this system. And it may be the caveat that it is this system that he is in. He is protected well. So as far as the loaded question part is, are you talking about, is he top 10 in just this quarterback versus this quarterback? Or is it this quarterback in this system with all of the quarterbacks within their system? And I don't like doing the first part where it's just talent versus talent, because talent isn't the biggest determining factor of winning and losing in the NFL. I'll say that again. Talent is not the biggest factor in winning and losing in the NFL. And if that were the case, then Vince Young would probably be an all-time great right now, because talent can't get it done alone. Now, within this system, Shane, Jared Goff is the top 10 quarterback. He might even be top 5 by the end of this year, because we're bringing everybody back. The band is back. The team that is there, offensive skill-wise, they brought back the coordinators. They brought back the coaching. Nothing's changed. It's like they talked about it like comparing a lot of teams to being a freshman, and the Lions are in their 4th year of running this offense. So it's like there's certain things that they didn't have to go through at the beginning of training camp to install and all that other stuff. They got to get, boom, right to the meat and potatoes of their team. Broski Bear says, I stay objective, and I need to see to believe, because the Bears have been a disgrace of an organization since Urlacher retired. And I feel you. I need to see to believe. And I believe that with the Lions. And it's the trash talking against the Lions has been the same for so long. You guys probably don't even know what to do with your hands right now, because what we're talking about, staying objective because you have to prove it. Well, the Lions proved it now underneath of this regime. And you can see where the turning point is if you just watch the games. You can just watch the games. 0-13 and or 3-13-1 to start. And it really took like 9 games into that second season before the culture, or whatever you want to talk about, the ideas of the coaching staff starts turning into the culture and everybody understanding these things. And it's been a different story. So the track record is there. So when I'm trying to stay objective, I'm trying to stay objective in a spot where my team's already proven it for more than a year. It isn't like, oh yeah, it was just last year. You got to wait and see. You guys got a quarterback that is just starting in a league. You know, you got a lot of moving pieces that have never been in your offense. I got to learn your offense. I got to figure out where your locker room is, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze. So you're counting on a lot of pieces that have never even been in your culture before. And that's fine. I'm not saying it never works. Like I said, you guys could end up the best version of you is a scary version, because Caleb's one of the highest touted quarterbacks to ever come out. So, but the worst version is, you know, he gets ruined by coaching, and then you guys are picking high again next year. That's the swing for you guys. You guys could be good, but you could also be really bad. Swift does have problems moving the ball after contact. I mean, he's on his 3rd team in 3 years. Yeah, I don't think that Swift is going to be the best running back that's on the Bears. I've been a big fan of Roschon Johnson ever since that he came out. I think there's a chance that he could be really good. Yeah. And Shane says, you rank it how you like. And he's talking about Jared Goff right there. And like I say, I put him in the top 10 because I like to put quarterbacks in the situations that they're in. You know, I mean, I can't base a guy off of potential. Oh, yeah, but Trevor Lawrence would be so much better in the Lions offense. He's better. It's like, you haven't done it yet. You've had all that talent, but you got to do it yet. Maybe it is the team around you. Maybe he would do better here, but he's not here. Jared Goff is here, and Jared Goff has played as a top 7 quarterback in the league for the last 2 years. It is what it is. He's not going to come off of that. So, yeah, top 10. I'd put him at probably right there, 7. I think 7 is a great ranking for him. Find 7 quarterbacks that are definitely better than him in the better situations. I like those situations, but I think we have other things. I think our team is a top 2 roster in the NFL from top 1 to 53. 1 to 53. Bears have 3 nice running backs as well. Bears have weapons on offense. It sounds weird, but it's true. They do. They do. I actually root for all of the North teams. I'm tired of hearing how bad they are. Yeah, this is a big step. Like, the competition got way better in the North. And, you know, the Packers dominated the worst division in football. One of the worst for a while. You know, there wasn't a lot of, you know, it was just the Packers. And I think this is the fullest of talent that I think that the entire North has had as a whole. And I think that you talk about these rivalries are going from this level to this level, because now you have 3 top, I would say top half of the NFL teams. Like, I'll put the Bears in that category. I'll buy into the hype as a top half of the NFL team, that you're going to be fighting for a back end playoff spot. I can put you there. And that's only going to get better through progression, because you do have young players. Lions have young players, and other teams are trying to figure things out. But here's this NFC North with a bunch of young guys that are becoming the NFL's best players. And this division is going to be ruthless over the next few years. And we're going to see. We're going to see. Didn't the Bears sign our injury-prone running back? He wasn't injured last year. It's amazing what will happen when you play for an offensive line that doesn't get you killed. Let's get in here. Yeah, you guys are having a good conversation in here. Shane says, like you said, talent doesn't mean jack. What if Mahomes was drafted to the Jets? I mean, those are great, like Doctor Strange world questions. I love those type of questions. Oh, I am getting to the end of the show right here. I'm not going to welcome the guys over from the Huddle Sports Network because Ken and Ken's going on over there. Hey, broski, if you want to catch the Ken and Ken show, they're over on Roku right now. They're all talking about Bears and keep up on some of that type of stuff. I'm going to get into turning into the pumpkin a little bit right here. I do enjoy spending my time on here with you guys. Preseason week 3. It's going to feel weird for me to do my Rick Rude impression. Let me do the Rick Rude impression. And then I'll give you the blessing. And here's the thing is like, even if I'm out here, it's faith, family, and football, guys. This is what we believe in here. And I'm not a perfect Christian or a perfect person or anything like that. I swear a little bit. I'm not a perfect person, and I wouldn't expect anybody else to be a perfect person. I care about you guys. I hope that you guys have the good things that happen in your life. But I'll give you the Rick Rude impression. And this is Rick Rude. You remember him? He's an old WWF guy from back in the day. He was managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I'll say this just because you can go over and follow my wrestling page at WrestleMania Pro Wrestling Talk. I may rebrand that because a lot of people think I'm an egomaniac by calling it WrestleMania, but I call it WrestleMania because my cousins used to make fun of me for loving wrestling so much, so they would call me WrestleMania. So that's really just a tribute to my cousins from Ohio. They used to call me WrestleMania. But I'll give you the Rick Rude impression. If he was in Chicago, he'd say, hey, what I'd like to have right now is for all of you fat, out of shape, Windy City piss ants, keep the noise down while I take my robe off and show all of the Chicago Windy City ladies what a real sexy man looks like. Hit the music. Faith, family, and then football. We're having some fun on here. It's faith, family, then football. In that order. Use football. Spend time with your family. Make memories. Don't let football turn you into a butthole. And may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. And may the Lord shine his face upon you. Until we meet again. Football Talk with Russell Wayne tomorrow. God bless.
Closed, Kansas open wide. Yo, the lies so that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, Kansas open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running it, maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision and pay me, it's never the sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity.